Hello, today we are doing the Sau machine from Hack the Box. It's a Linux machine and it's recommended in the TJNull List to prepare for the OSCP. So let's get started. As always, we start with a port scan and I'm using auto recon with the recursive flag to enable recursive directory enumeration. Usually the scanning takes some time, that's why I already run it before and we can have a look at the results. To do this, I start a Python HTTP server in my directory with the results. And then we can browse the results in our web browser. So we only found two ports. Port 22, it's SSH, and this port. And it looks like it's a web server. So we can have a look at the results from Buster. It looks like there's a web endpoint and we see many 400 responses. So let's have a look at this one. So we can see we can create a basket. Let's create one. And it was successful. And we have a token here. And we can see our basket is currently empty. And we can send requests to this endpoint. So at the bottom of the page, we can see it's using request baskets in version 1.2.1. And we can check on Google if we can find any public exploits. And it looks like it's vulnerable to server-side request forgery. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so let's check the details. So it says here that the forward URL parameter is vulnerable. And we have two vulnerable endpoints, API baskets and /baskets. And we need to send a post request to one of them. And in the body, we can set the forward URL parameter. And then we get a token back. And then we need to visit the basket that has been created to trigger the vulnerability. So let's try this. I'm using Bruno, which is an API client, but you can use whatever tool you prefer. So we create a new request for HTTP. We say it's a post request. We paste the URL in and we say we want to create a basket 123. Now we need to set our body. And I select JSON. And as forward URL, I'm using my Kali machine IP. We hit send and we get the token back. And we can visit our basket now. We need to enter our token. We can check now our local web server. And we see we get the request back. So the SSRF worked. We can also visit this URL in our browser. And we don't see any results here. The reason is that we set proxy response to false. We can change this to true. And let's create a new basket. We copy our token again. We visit our new basket, enter the token, and if we visit this URL now, we get also some results back. So this vulnerability allows us now to check if there are any local services running on this machine. So we change the forward URL now to localhost. We create a basket. We copy the token. We copy the URL. So it looks like we were lucky and we got some results back, which means there is a local service running on port 80. We could also try different ports to see if there is more running. And if we look at the bottom of the page again, we see it's running Maltrail in version 0.53. So again, we can look on Google for public exploits. And it looks like there is a remote code execution. It says here that the username parameter is vulnerable to a command injection, and we can simply enter a command after the semicolon. And to run the exploit, we just need to provide the target IP and our local IP. Let's also check the code. So this function only prints some help information. So the start attack function sends the payload, and there's a variable encoded payload, and it sends a Python reverse shell. It's using this port. The payload is encoded in base 64. And here we can see the username parameter with the semicolon, and then our payload is injected. So we can clone the repository. And we run the exploit. We provide the target IP and our local Kali IP, and we also need to start a netcat listener. And we get a reverse shell back. We are user Puma. And we have the user flag here. So we can start now enumerating to see how we can escalate our privileges, and we can have a look if we have any pseudo permissions, and we can run the systemctl command with pseudo permissions. So let's do this. So it looks like we see some information about the service. And if we run the help command, we can see that we are actually in less. So we have a pager running here. And we can check on GTFO bins how we can exploit this. So we search for less. And we're running it with pseudo permissions. So all we need to do is run this command. And we are root. And we can see the root flag. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.